So worker confusion is at an all-time high. People don't know. Are they being furloughed? Do they come into the office? Can they touch their computer? Should they check their email? Do they not check their email? Do they even have a job? It changes day by day. And here's another change. Right now, what we're seeing, we have federal workers in certain agencies. If you go on leave too much, then you could be furloughed. This is for exempted people, probably for accepted federal workers as well. You go on leave too much. And what does that mean? We're going to get into it. But yeah, you take your leave and now you're furloughed with no right to actually have your job once the shutdown ends. That's what we're talking about. It's crazy. So here's the deal. Federal workers are taking a lot of leave. Why? One reason is because their workload has become borderline unbearable. You had offices cut by a third. That work doesn't go away. That work gets shifted on to the people who survive the rifts. The people that chose to stay in that agency, they now have to assume more responsibility, more duties. So that's one thing. The other thing is their mental health. Look at what's happening in the news. Go on YouTube and look at any clip that the information the administration is putting out there. Whether it's we're not paying people that are furloughed, whether it's we have to make these cuts, no matter what it is, it's a lot of pressure on the federal workforce. So if you can manage being swamped by your workload, then the political rhetoric will get to you at a certain point. So it could be mental health days. But the agency in this administration can look at it as if you're protesting. Taking leave can be viewed as the worker protesting against the administration. And they don't like that. They don't like that at all. What we're seeing in the Department of Transportation, FAA, air traffic controllers, they're calling in sick. TSA workers, they're calling in sick. And the administration is getting kind of worried about that. So they want to squash it. This is happening in the IRS, which apparently is labeled as a Democrat agency. Imagine that. The IRS only benefits the Democrats. That might make sense to you. That's probably what you've been hearing because a lot of times when a conservative runs a campaign, they always run on lowering taxes. But the IRS benefits both political parties. It benefits the Democrats clearly because it's money, it's revenue to fund progressive policies. It also benefits conservatives because what do conservatives like to do? They love their security. So when it comes to border protection, immigration enforcement, defense, we spent over $1 trillion on the defense budget. Where do you think that money's coming from? They need tax dollars. They need revenue coming into the IRS. So it really it's not a partisan agency. In fact, no agency is designed to be a partisan agency. Even the EPA is not designed to be a partisan agency. So the IRS benefits everyone. Despite that, over 25,000 employees were cut. They've squeezed out over 25,000 people. And then the furloughs hit, right? So half of the agency is furloughed right now. And then we saw new layoffs hit on Friday that impacted the IRS as well. Now, that's a tricky thing for the IRS because we have the 2026 tax season really close, not too many more months away. And that tax season is going to be unique because we have new laws that were introduced and included in the big, beautiful bill that President Trump championed. He wanted that bill. That means you have to train people up and you need to have your agency staff in order to make that come to life, to make it come into fruition. You need people there. People don't want to be there. Attrition rate is soaring. People are trying to escape that agency. And it's evident they're having issues because they were just hiring seasonal employees. The last 1-2 months, if you go back to probably July, August, September, they're hiring seasonal employees. Now, these are people that are paid next to nothing, very low paid, limited benefits, but they're going around the country holding hiring events, trying to get people to answer the phone. They want contact representatives. So they understand that, hey, we're not properly staffed. So it's real interesting to see the IRS take this stance towards its workforce. Consider people right now, federal workers. We're in October. So most people, they have use or lose leave, meaning that they have to take some leave or they're going to lose it. What's coming out from the IRS right now is word of mouth. So it's not a policy actually written, not as of yet, not as of the recording of this, but it could easily come out here shortly. But the word is that if you take more than 8 hours of leave during a pay period, meaning 2 weeks, so that's 1 day. If you exceed 1 day every 2 weeks, then you could be furloughed, like automatically furloughed. Now, that's a big deal to people who are exempted right now. And think about this. What if you get sick? Let's say you get the flu, you get a case of the COVID, you get a cold, or your kids get sick, and it's going to take more than 1 day, right? It's going to take a lot more than 1 day to recover. You have the days. Why can't you use the days? Well, you can't use the days because you could potentially be protesting. So if you do happen to exceed that limit 1 day every 2 weeks, then you could find yourself automatically furloughed. Now, being furloughed in a normal year wouldn't be an issue because you would receive back pay, and it would be fine as long as you had the nest egg, or as long as you had money in your checking and savings account that could weather the shutdown. It wouldn't be a problem. But this year, well, we're doing something a little different this year. We're threatening federal workers that are furloughed, you might not get back pay, whether it's legal or not. And it's not legal because the law was signed by Trump in 2019. So we all know what the law says. These individuals are entitled to their back pay. They will get their back pay, but it might be a prolonged process. And the other interesting thing was that the president was saying it depends on who they are. Like, yeah, maybe we might give certain furloughed workers back pay, but others maybe not. So that was a whole nother dynamic that was introduced to the discussion. Now, the big question, I think, are other agencies going to see what the IRS is doing and say, you know what? We need to do that same thing because they're having success with it. Let's do that. Well, it's not going to work in an agency like FAA because you can't just furlough an air traffic controller. You actually need them. They're essential. You can't just furlough TSA workers when you need them. Otherwise, the line goes outside of the airport and nobody's flying on time. So you can't do that. But in other agencies, will they slowly start to adopt it? Okay, so we saw last Friday, this administration pushed out over 4,000 RIF notices, reduction in force, layoff notices. And this, a lot of people think this is just the first step. You know, the goal could be 15, 16,000 or upwards of that number. But if you want to know who was affected and what is a potential course of action that we could see in the future, if you want to know more about the RIF notices, then I want you to check this video out next. Stay updated by signing up to the free newsletter down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.